The executive branch. Requirements. In order to run for president, you must be at least 35 years of age, be a natural-born citizen, and have lived in the U.S. for at least 14 years. The enumerated powers of the president include to enforce the laws made by Congress, make treaties with foreign nations, appoint ambassadors and nominate judges for the Supreme Court, be commander-in-chief of our army, pardon people convicted of crime, give the State of Union address, and fill up all vacancies that may happen in the Senate. The implied powers of the president are to serve head of his or her political party, organize the federal bureaucracy, issue executive orders, serve as head of his or her state, and consult the cabinet. The president is advised by his White House staff, which consists of the chief of staff, press secretary, counsel, and other members assisting the president. They do not have to be approved by Congress. The chief of staff ensures that everything that's going on in the White House staff and the executive branch is running smoothly. They also try to keep the president from making mistakes and try to make policies that will help benefit the president. The White House press secretary is a senior White House official whose primary responsibility is to act as spokesperson for the government. The press secretary is also responsible for collecting information about actions and events within the president's administration and issue the administration's reactions to developments around the world. The president is also advised by his cabinet, which does have to be approved in the Senate. Established in Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, the role of the cabinet is to advise the president on any subject he may require relating to the duties of each member's respective office. The cabinet has 15 departments: the Department of State, Treasury, Defense, Justice, Interior, Agriculture, Commerce, Labor, Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, Transportation, Energy, Education, Veteran Affairs, and Homeland Security. It also includes a Vice President and Attorney General.
Presidents have many responsibilities during their time in office. Some of these include Chief of State, Chief Executive, Chief Diplomat, Commander-in-Chief, Legislative Leader, Chief of Party, and Guardian of the Economy.
The president can play both positive and negative roles, which include having strong leadership, the ability to communicate effectively with Congress, their popularity. They must be able to handle the pressure that comes with the job, how they make their decision, how they maintain bureaucratic or organizations, how active they are when establishing policies, their own personal beliefs about how they are doing with their job as president. If something good or bad, especially bad, happens in the country or other regions in which many Americans are concerned with, the pressure falls onto the president's shoulders to address it in an appropriate manner. And of course, the executive privilege.
An approval rating is given to a political figure based on responses to a poll in which a sample of people are asked whether they approve or disapprove of that particular political figure. Usually, a president's approval rating decreases throughout their term. Elections. The president and vice president run together via the 12th Amendment. An election for the President of the United States occurs every 4 years on the first Tuesday in November. Elections start in the primaries and then the winners advance to the general election. We use the Electoral College in the general election. The number of electors each state gets is determined by how many members of Congress the state has. There is a total of 538 electoral votes in all. After you cast your ballot for president, your vote goes to a statewide tally. The winner gets all the electoral votes for that state. A candidate needs at least 270 to win.
Bureaucracy. Government-run organization that's supposed to implement the laws in which all appointees are appointed. The executive office. Not in the White House, needs Senate approval, and is in charge of agencies that are not part of the cabinet, such as the OMB. Bureaucracy is a method of organizing people and its work. It's based on the principles of hierarchy authority and job specialization. As a form of organization, bureaucracy is often seen as the most efficient means of getting people to work together on tasks of great magnitude and complexity. Unfortunately, it has confusing rules and can be a waste. The president has substantial appointed powers. All of the heads of these departments are appointed. The president also appoints directors and top deputies of federal agencies, members of federal commissions, and heads of regulatory agencies. In all, the president appoints over 5,000 positions. This allows him to have substantial influence over policy of all these various departments and agencies.
In the history of our presidency, we've had many with major accomplishments that often go unrecognized. For example, George Washington denied Congress's request to see the documents regarding the Jay Treaty and set the foundation for executive privilege. The Patriot Act of 2001, signed into law by George Bush, was the legislation that passed to prevent further acts of terrorism as a direct result to 9/11. During Obama's presidency, he captured bin Laden and killed him, which was a military execution. He also passed the Health Care Act we know as Obamacare and ended the war in Iraq.